Hey there, guys. All right, today we are back with another week of World War II. Number 15, the 8th of December, 1939. The invasion of Finland. The Winter War truly begins. Now, before we dive in, make sure you go and check out the links in the description box below. I would love to join the Discord. Follow me over Twitch. And please do go check out the two gaming channels here on YouTube. One is for edited content, and then the other is for stream VODs. With all that said, let's go ahead and dive right into the video, huh? I've got nothing to say at the start here. I don't know why I went into an accent. Anyways.
December 8th, 1939. As last week ended, the Soviet Red Army invaded Finland, and this week, Russian and Finnish forces clash. I'm Indy Nidell. This is World War II. Last week, the big news in Europe was, as I just said, that the Soviet Union invaded Finland. With nearly 500,000 men, they advanced along the whole border from the Karelian...
That's like more people than in all of Finland. I know it's not. It's a joke. People that take things too seriously, calm your titties.
Isthmus to the frozen north. Helsinki was bombed from the skies as the week ended. This was not the only offensive that began, though, for the Chinese Nationalist Army began its series of winter attacks all across China against the Japanese. We'll see more of that as the month unfolds. I'd like to look at Finland now. At the beginning of the week, Finland asks the League of Nations to mediate the conflict, but as the week ends, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark declare neutrality in this conflict. So Finland is not going to get any major local military aid, at least not soon. And the Soviet plan for invasion is basically to move in, overwhelm the Finns, and win within 2 weeks. Joseph Stalin's military leaders had been impressed with the German blitzkrieg in Poland 3 months ago. Armored units charging ahead, breaking through, and causing chaos in the supply lines in the rear. Infantry exploiting breakthroughs.
So they're going to copy the German method without having really studied it and practiced it. Unlike the Germans who studied it intensely, practiced it in the Spanish Civil War, and then put it to the test here with Poland. Got it.
And heavy units mopping up pockets of resistance, and the whole thing covered by massive air and artillery support. The Soviet Union possessed all the necessary tools to do the same, and General Zhukov had in fact done something of the sort at Khalkhin Gol. But that attack and the German plans had been made for fighting on familiar terrain, crisscrossed with modern roads. How will this work in Finland with dense forests, few roads, and everything covered in snow and ice? And the German military had an excellent communication and coordination network with frontline commanders full of drive and initiative. But Zhukov was a real exception within the Red Army, and William Trotter writes, "Those very qualities, if displayed in the Red Army, were more apt to earn a man a trip to the Gulag than a pat on the back. Many of the battlefield and regimental commanders who would lead the Russian attacks were by this time little more than groveling flunkies, whose every battlefield decision had to be seconded by a political commissar before orders
How the fuck did the Russians get anything done?
could go to the troops. The Blitzkrieg was quite unsuited for a ponderous, top-heavy army of ill-trained soldiers led by timid officers.
Damn. Dig into them, dude.
Overseen by inexperienced party ideologues and sent forth to conquer a country whose terrain consists of practically nothing but natural obstacles to military operations. Entire Soviet divisions have no intelligence estimates of the enemy. They have inaccurate maps, although they do have brass bands and propaganda posters.
Woo, that's all you need, baby.
They're bringing flat trajectory field guns into some of the densest forests in the world, and every division is dragging around anti-tank guns, even though the Finns have no tanks.
No. No way. Oh, man.
Those dense forests also feature snowdrifts between the trees deep enough to bury a man standing. The Finns can quickly move around on skis. The Russians are stuck to the roads. And north of Lake Ladoga, a mobile defender can run circles round road-bound invaders. Also, the Red Army is not at all prepared for the Finnish winter, though if they do win quickly, they will manage to avoid winter's full force. And the key to winning Finland is the Karelian Isthmus. Everything else is window dressing. Even though the isthmus is only a small region, the terrain there is the only point of attack suited for a modern army. Sure, there are lakes and bogs on the isthmus, but not impenetrable forest. And now, the Russian invasion. The 7th Army on the Karelian Isthmus. The objective is to break the Mannerheim Line, the main Finnish defense system, take Viipuri, and then advance on Helsinki. This will be the strongest Russian attack, with between 12 and 14 divisions and 3 tank brigades. The 8th Army, just north of Lake Ladoga, 6 rifle divisions and 2 tank brigades. Its goal is to circle the northern shore, break through the defenses there, and then hit the Mannerheim Line from behind. The 9th Army, 5 divisions and a few attached armored units. They are to attack westward further north and cut the country in half. The 14th Army in the far north, 3 divisions heading from Murmansk towards Petsamo and then Rovaniemi. Finnish commander Carl Gustav Mannerheim and the Finns know that Finland cannot possibly hold out against the Soviet Union indefinitely. The idea is to hold out until the Western powers intervene. If that turns out to be a pipe dream, they then will try to resist so fiercely that the Soviets will negotiate a settlement instead of going for total conquest. Barring that possibility, the Finns will then fight to the very last man. The most honorable annihilation, with the faint hope that the conscience of mankind would find an alternative solution as a reward for bravery and singleness of purpose. Soviet General Kirill Meretskov advances on the Karelian Isthmus with 120,000 men and 1,000 tanks. The Finns have evacuated the locals and have booby-trapped basically everything. Haystacks, outhouses, underneath dead chickens, everything. They've even invented a wooden mine that cannot be detected electrically that can blow the treads off a tank. So Russian patrols have to advance on foot, poking the roads with sharp sticks before the tanks can advance. Mines have also been hung on ropes under the frozen lakes, designed to shatter the ice. This leads to tank drivers avoiding the ice entirely, which is what the Finns want, since the tanks are easier to ambush on land. So traffic jams begin from the get-go across the buffer zone. The 20
Fucking 5D chess by Finland here, my god. Jesus, they were ready to throw hands.
to 50-kilometer region from the border to the Mannerheim Line. The first major Russian attack is at Taipale, on the extreme flank of the line up by Lake Ladoga on the 6th. This is actually a feint to draw away Finnish troops before attacking the Finnish center at Summa, but it doesn't fool the Finns, and the Finnish 10th Division is well dug in. No man's land there is a peninsular tip the Finns have voluntarily abandoned that's marshy and devoid of cover. They hope the Russians will attack here in force, and they do, and it becomes a killing ground, every inch of which has been ranged by the Finnish artillery. The Russians take huge casualties and flee when the Finns counterattack. But this was not the first engagement. There was other action all week. On the 2nd, the Red Army takes Petsamo in the north. Soviet naval assaults this week against the ports of Turku, Hanko, and Porvoo are repulsed. The battles of Kola and Suomussalmi begin, and as the week ends, the Finns bring the attacks by the Soviet 9th Army in the Kumo region to a halt. Finnish defenders threw bottles filled with petrol with lighted rags in their necks into the turrets of Soviet tanks.
Yeah.
This simple but devastatingly effective incendiary grenade was quickly dubbed the Molotov cocktail.
Yeah.
They had actually been used earlier in the Spanish Civil War, but it was here they got their name.
Oh, I didn't know the Americans used it first. USA, USA. We're very good at figuring ways to set people on fire. Yeah, we did create yep. USA is very good at that.
There is serious danger for the Finns in Ladoga, Karelia already from December 1st. The Russian advance just north of the lake threatens Finland's main lateral railway line for the whole Ladoga front, which is the artery for reinforcements to the isthmus. The worst danger is on the Tolvajärvi road, where a Russian division faces an ad hoc formation of just 4 infantry battalions and a bicycle battalion, now on skis though. They hold the Soviets back as well as they could, but by the end of the week, the Red Army has covered half the distance to the railway junction Wartsila, and if it should fall, then this whole front will collapse and the Mannerheim line will be vulnerable from the rear. This war captures the world's news headlines, and places like the US, France, and even Germany admire the little country fighting the giant. But this also serves as a diversion from the
Because no one's going to intervene. Everyone's just going to let the Soviets do what they want.
continuation of the ongoing European war and occupation and its litany of atrocities. By the end of this week, all the Polish inmates of Stralsund Mental Hospital have been shot and killed. The bodies are buried by Poles, who are themselves then shot. At the asylum at Chelm, the patients are lined up and shot, but some manage to run away. They are hunted down and killed. Thing is, it's not soldiers that are in charge of these killings, it's doctors. And on the 2nd, Richard Glucks, the head of the concentration camp system, writes a letter to SS General Wolf, the chief of Heinrich Himmler's personal staff, defending the actions of 2 SS surgeons. There have been complaints about them to the Ministry of Justice for their experiments, successful ones, in sterilization of criminals at the Sachsenhausen camp. Glucks points out that the ministry has no jurisdiction over the doctors because they had been transferred to a Death's Head division and technically are serving at the front, even though there has been no action there for 2 months. Also, he adds that the medical experiments are justified because of the dangerous nature of the criminals. Of course, public executions still continue. On the 8th, 31 Poles are shot in Warsaw. That is the week, with the Finnish defenses so far holding off the Red Army everywhere but in the north. And further atrocities in Poland, this time committed by doctors.
Well, this week's episode started off kind of happy-ish, despite war. You know, Finland kicking Soviet ass, and now it's very depressing.
Who may or may not count as civilians. Those atrocities are increasing in frequency and becoming ever more organized. But what is the local reaction as they go on and on? Well, Chaim Kaplan, noted Jewish educator, wrote in his diary, "There is no strength left to cry. Steady and continued weeping finally leads to silence. At first there is screaming, then wailing, and at last a bottomless sigh that does not even leave an echo." If you'd like to see another war where the Red Army also invaded with superior numbers, you can click right here for our Between Two Wars episode about the Polish-Soviet War.
And that was week 15 of World War II, the invasion of Finland, the 8th of December, 1939. I have nothing to add here at the end of this video. There wasn't really anything to dive deeper into or really discuss this week. So yeah, that's that. I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.